Fall in love with low prices, all in the Kroger app. Get fresh seasonal produce, lean, juicy meats, and all the best prices on all your grocery needs. We have deals on everything from fish in the seafood department to meat and cheese at the deli. Shop these deals at your local Kroger, less than 5 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Kroger app to save big today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Two months and counting. That's how long it's been since Olivier Dubois was kidnapped in Mali.
They say there's no good news.
There's no good news.
Olivier Dubois is a French citizen and a freelance journalist. He was pursuing a story in Mali, a huge West African country with an unstable government, vast amounts of uninhabited and impoverished desert territory, plus a growing jihadist problem. In fact, the story that Dubois was pursuing was an interview with a local leader of the Al-Qaeda-linked Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, or as it will be known from here on out, JNIM. I'm not going to torture you guys with my D-grade Americanized French any more than I have to, I promise. So the man that Dubois was reportedly seeking an interview with is named Abdallah Ag al-Bakay. Dubois pitched the story of this potential interview to a French paper that he's worked with called Libération. But the paper claimed to turn down the assignment because it was too dangerous. So it seems as if Dubois decided to pursue the story anyway. Perhaps he thought he was going to sell it to another news outlet. Or perhaps he thought once he had the story, Libération would take it. So he hops on a plane and travels to the city of Gao. And that's where the story turns tragic. In an interview last month, the terrorism specialist Wassim Nasser for France 24 explained that it's unclear after Dubois got to Gao when his movements turned from voluntary to involuntary.
For now, terrorism experts say it remains unclear whether he was lured to Gao under false pretenses.
Someone portrayed to him or told him that he will be able to conduct an interview with the local jihadi commander from the region of Telatai. And this is why he went to Gao. So up to this point, we don't know if he was dragged there by a jihadi group or by local kidnappers or criminals who sold him later to a jihadi group.
So at this point, what's known is Dubois was kidnapped on April the 8th. According to media reports, he was staying at the Askia Motel, and he was last seen getting into a car with several men. Now, it's unclear at that point if he was going with those men voluntarily or involuntarily. But he didn't take his phone or his passport because those items were found in his hotel room. Now, a nurse, her name wasn't released, but apparently she's a woman that Dubois has known for years. She reportedly helped him secure the interview, and she was arrested after his disappearance and questioned by French authorities. But there's been no word on what, if anything, they got from her. And that's not surprising, because the French embassy caught wind of Dubois' disappearance fairly quickly. They were aware of the situation around April 10th, just 2 days after he disappeared, because he wasn't on his return flight to Bamako, which is Mali's capital. But the French government didn't confirm his kidnapping until May the 23rd, a month and a half after this man disappeared. And they may not have even done it then if a video of Dubois hadn't been posted online.
Until now, the strategy was to keep that quiet as long as possible to make to maximize, optimize our chances to get his freedom. We know that Malian authorities and French authorities are very much aware of what happened. They are working on it. So we maintained this quietness as long as possible, but Now with this video, it's not possible anymore. So we will try to gather up everyone and see what we can do.
So around May the 4th or 5th, a video emerges, and it shows Dubois in a tent. He's not visibly harmed, but he does confirm that JNIM is the one who has him, and he asked his family, friends, and the authority to do whatever they could to free him. So as of now, that early May video is the last known sighting of Dubois. Unfortunately, Dubois' kidnapping is not uncommon in Mali. As you heard from that terrorism specialist earlier, it's not unheard of for local criminals to kidnap people and to sell them to jihadists. And there are multiple Islamic militant groups in northern Mali and throughout that vast open no man's land known as the Sahel that runs across multiple countries. These groups are active in a number of countries, including places like Burkina Faso and Niger. And they engage in all kinds of illegal activities, including kidnapping both local people and foreigners.
Journalists working in the Sahel, both local and foreign, risk being killed or kidnapped. This is several armed groups who operate in the area around Gao. Now, French civilians especially have long been favored targets of kidnapping by criminal and Islamist groups. This is partly because of perceptions that the French government is prepared to pay ransoms to secure their release. France has repeatedly denied paying ransoms for hostages.
These jihadist groups are not your run-of-the-mill neighborhood criminals. These people straight up go to combat with international soldiers. And it's not just the soldiers who bust off on them. These people attack international military forces. And it's not as if they're the only ones who take a L. There's a site online that gives a monthly report on their attacks, how many soldiers they've killed, instances where they've used IEDs to blow up military vehicles and military equipment. So just to put this in context, in 2012, Islamist extremist groups took over the northern part of Mali, and it's been a struggle ever since then. According to a 2020 feature piece in the Journal of Indo-Pacific Affairs, JNIM is the most dangerous of those Islamist militant groups. JNIM was formed in 2017. It had nearly 2,000 soldiers by 2018, and they were deemed responsible for a 300% increase in violent attacks and civilian targeting by 2020. When British troops were deployed to Mali in April, it was considered the most dangerous deployment that those soldiers have faced since Iraq and Afghanistan.
The situation is so bad, the UN has warned of an impending disaster.
But the pressing question is what happens after people are kidnapped? Or better put, what are the chances of those people making it home? And the honest answer is the record is mixed. It could largely depend on whose hands you fall into. Because just this month, French forces killed 4 people in northern Mali. They were allegedly jihadist terrorists, and one was reportedly responsible for the kidnapping and murder of 2 French journalists in 2012. Gislani Dupont and Claude Verlon. Those 2 journalists, they were found dead, bodies riddled with bullet holes within hours of being kidnapped. But on the other hand, you have French aid worker Sophie Petronin, who was kidnapped in 2016, and she was released in October 2020 after 4 years. And she was also released along with 3 other hostages. The outcome could also depend on the approach. In a recent interview, Deborah Ahawi Al-Masari, who has children with Dubois, she said she trusts both the Malian and French authorities, but she pleaded with them to push for diplomatic negotiations with the kidnappers instead of military intervention. So that seems to suggest that at least she believes that her children's father have a better outcome if authorities push for a peaceful resolution for his return. On June 8th, the 2-month anniversary of Dubois' disappearance, demonstrations were held in his honor calling for him to be freed in both Paris and Bamako. Among those who attended were representatives from Libération, Le Point, and Jeune Afrique. All of those are publications Dubois has freelanced for. Olivier Dubois was considered to be a seasoned freelance journalist. He was considered to be knowledgeable of both the region and the risks of working in the region. And he reportedly had connections within the jihadist circles in the region. But those things did not protect him from the current situation. Freelancers, please, please do not take false security in who you know and what you know when it comes to working in risky situations. It doesn't matter what type of risky situation it is. It doesn't matter where you are. Do not let yourself fall victim to a sense of false security. And whether you're a freelance journalist, a digital nomad, a travel blogger, whatever you do, know before you go. So, if you don't know, I'm Misha Anai, aka No Good Writer, and I thought I'd just drop in and put that news on the radar for anybody who's missed that story or who's been trying to follow that story. If you enjoyed this post, please subscribe to the No Good Podcast wherever you like to listen. Amazon Music, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many others. And if you would like to show some love to support this type of content, you will find the Cash App and PayPal details wherever you clicked into this podcast. As always, any and everything is appreciated. And until next time, peace.